Welcome to the ultimate iPhone 12 Pro Max camera review.
What in the world is going on here? We're testing iPhone cameras.
Including this beast of a phone, the $1,099 iPhone 12 Pro Max. But what makes this Pro Max crazy isn't just its gigantic 6.7-inch screen, but its 3 cameras, which are the best yet from Apple. Just look at this camera bump. There's a new telephoto camera that gives you more zoom and a whole new wide camera that lets in more light. But just how much better are those new cameras versus the cameras on the other iPhone 12 models, and even some older iPhones? And what about in comparison to some new Android phones? So we recruited Trina Merry, a body painter and photographer, and asked her to create the ultimate 2020 portrait to help me test these cameras. Oh yeah, that's Nicolas Universeo. He's really good at standing still.
I've set up 3 different photo test scenarios. If you want to see the differences, feel free to pause the video. And if you're wondering about everything else in these iPhones, I've already reviewed that. It's these photos that you have to see. You ready to do this, 2020 iPhone Portrait Man?
Do I have a choice?
Not really.
Test 1. Portrait shots.
All of the iPhone 12 models have new wide cameras. The 12 Pro Max has an even better sensor than the others, but we'll get to that soon. All of the wide cameras let you shoot portrait mode shots, where the software artfully blurs the background so your subject stands out. I used the wide camera for this shot with all 4 iPhone 12 models. Can't spot the difference? There really isn't any. In daylight, these wide cameras are nearly indistinguishable. Although it's a big improvement from the iPhone 10. Oof, look at those colors. And actually, I preferred the Google Pixel 5's color representation of this scene the best. What makes the iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max better portrait cams are their telephoto cameras. The Pro Max's telephoto takes it even further. It has a longer 65mm focal length lens that's capable of 2.5x optical zoom. Translation? A more intimate and flatter image, where the background is closer. It feels like something a portrait lens on a DSLR would turn out. One other place this telephoto is really nice: video. All the iPhone 12 models record Dolby HDR video. You look like Van Gogh right now. We're gonna need something to cut his ear off. When you watch it back on an HDR display, it looks stunning.
The iPhone 12 Pro Max is nice to have, but you can still take some great portrait shots with the 12 Pro.
Test 2. Ultra-wide shots.
All of these have the same ultra-wide cameras. The shots are a bit crisper and a little less distorted than last year's iPhone 11 models, but you have to be looking really carefully. Oh, and one of the coolest things on the iPhone Pro Max, going from capturing this all the way out to capturing this.
Takeaway here, it doesn't matter what phone you buy for ultra-wide shots.
Test 3. Selfies.
No, actually, it's night shots.
Let's return now to those wide cameras. On the iPhone 12 mini, 12, and 12 Pro, these have been improved with a wider aperture of f1.6 that lets in 27% more light than the wide camera on the iPhone 11. The performance is impressive, especially compared to an older iPhone 10, 10R, or iPhone SE. Here's another shot where you can see the difference big time. The Pro Max's wide camera, however, has a wider aperture and a larger sensor, so it lets in 87% more light, where you can tell the difference is in basically dark conditions. Is it an insane difference? No, but you can see it, especially when you compare to these Android phones. And because it lets in more light, the Pro Max doesn't turn on night mode as frequently. That's the setting that uses a combination of hardware and software to brighten the shots. When it does kick in night mode, it requires you to stay still for less time, making the shots less blurry. The wide camera on both the 12 Pro and the Pro Max also uses the new LiDAR sensor to help take nice night shot portraits.
So what's the final picture? Well, the iPhone Pro Max has a fabulous set of cameras and gives you a lot more flexibility than the iPhone 12, the iPhone mini, and even the iPhone 12 Pro. But don't buy this phone just for all of that. This phone is insanely large, which sucks for those of us who like smaller phones because we don't get as good of a camera.
Of course, what we really saw here today is that the other 12 models take really good photos too, especially the smaller Pro with its telephoto camera. Or you could wait it out. Apple has a long track record of introducing its best camera features on the high-end models, and then expanding them across the line. Either way, you know what they say. The best camera is the one that you have with you when you happen upon a living, breathing portrait.
I think I saw this phone on Steve Jobs' conference back in 2008.